My name is Claire Morgan. For 27 years, I believed my family home was the only place in the world where I would always belong. I was wrong, because 3 days after my mother died, my own family sold it, and they thought I would never find out. My mother, Eleanor, had raised me alone. My father left when I was 6. He never came back, so it was always just Mom and me. Our little white house stood on a quiet street in Ohio. It wasn't a mansion. It wasn't expensive. But it was home. Every Christmas, Mom decorated the same old staircase. Every Thanksgiving, we ate at the same wooden table. Every summer, she planted roses beside the front door. She used to tell me, "Claire, no matter what happens in life, this house will always be yours." I believed her. Until she died. Mom passed away peacefully one rainy Sunday morning. I was holding her hand when she took her last breath. I couldn't stop crying. My younger brother, Ethan, stood beside the bed. My Aunt Martha was there too. Everyone looked devastated. Or at least, I thought they were. At the funeral, Ethan hugged me. "We'll take care of everything together." I believed him. He was my brother. Why wouldn't I? 3 days after the funeral, I received a strange phone call. "Ms. Morgan." "Yes. This is David from First National Bank. How can I help you?" "We're calling regarding the mortgage transfer on your property." I froze. "My property?" "Yes. The house on Willow Creek Road." I immediately knew something was wrong. "There's no mortgage." The man became silent. Then he said, "According to our records, the property was sold yesterday." I couldn't breathe. "What?" "Ms. Morgan. The property was transferred to a new owner." I dropped the phone. I immediately called Ethan. He didn't answer. I called again. Nothing. Then I called Aunt Martha. She answered after several rings. "Claire, did you sell Mom's house?" Silence. Then, "Claire, you need to calm down." My heart sank. "You sold it." "We had to." "Who gave you permission?" "Your mother." "Mom is dead." Martha sighed. "She left instructions." "What instructions?" Another silence. Then she said, "The house wasn't meant to stay in the family." I couldn't believe it. "Where is Ethan?" "He handled everything." "Put him on the phone." "I can't." "Why?" "He's already moved out." I felt dizzy. My brother sold our mother's house 3 days after her funeral. Martha didn't answer. I hung up. I drove to Willow Creek Road. When I arrived, I stopped the car. My childhood home looked completely different. The roses were gone. The old wooden bench was gone. And there was a for sale sign in the yard. I ran toward the front door. I still had my old key. I put it into the lock. It didn't work. Someone had changed the locks. I stood there in the rain, staring at the house where I had spent my entire childhood. Then an SUV stopped behind me. A tall man stepped out. He was probably in his early 40s. Expensive suit. Calm expression. He looked at me. "Can I help you?" I wiped the rain from my face. "This is my mother's house." He looked confused. "No. I grew up here." He glanced toward the house. "Are you Claire Morgan?" My heart stopped. "How do you know my name?" He reached into his briefcase, then handed me a document. "Because I bought the house yesterday." I stared at the contract. The buyer's name was Alexander Reed, a wealthy real estate investor. I looked at him. "My family sold this house without telling me." He shook his head. "I didn't know that." "Then why did you ask for me?" He hesitated, then said, "Because the title company found a problem." "What problem?" He opened another folder. Inside was a copy of the property deed. He pointed to one line. I read it. My name was there. Claire Morgan, co-owner. I stared at the document. "That's impossible." Alexander shook his head. "No. According to this." You own 50% of this house. I looked at him. Then how did my family sell it? He slowly closed the folder. That's exactly what I came to ask you. I couldn't sleep that night. I went through every old document I had. Birth certificates. Tax records. My mother's letters. Nothing. Then I remembered something. When I was 12, Mom had taken me to a lawyer. She told me, "One day, you'll understand why I did this." I had forgotten about it. Until now. The next morning, I found the lawyer's name in an old photograph. Thomas Bennett. I searched for him. He was still practicing law. I drove to his office. When I told him my mother's name, his expression changed. "You finally came." I stared at him. "You were expecting me." He nodded. "Your mother told me that if the house was ever sold without your permission." I leaned forward. "What then?" He opened a locked cabinet. Inside was a sealed envelope. My name was written across it. Claire Morgan. Thomas pushed it toward me. "Your mother wanted you to have this only after her death." My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside was a single handwritten letter. The first sentence made my heart stop. "Claire, if you're reading this, someone in our family has betrayed you." I looked up at Thomas. "Who?" He didn't answer. Instead, he pointed toward the second page. "And the house they just sold isn't the real inheritance." I turned the page. There was a photograph, a bank account, a company name, and a number that made my hands go cold. $12,800,000. My mother had left me $12 million. But beneath the account information, she had written one final sentence. "Your brother knows where it came from." I stared at those words. My brother had lied to me. He had sold my childhood home. And now, he was hiding a $12 million secret. I stared at the number on the document. $12,800,000. My mother had never even owned a new car. She still used the same kitchen appliances she'd bought 20 years earlier. She clipped coupons. She repaired old clothes instead of replacing them. So where had $12 million come from? And why had she hidden it from me? Most importantly, why did her letter say my brother knew? I looked at Thomas. "Tell me everything." He shook his head. "Your mother made me promise not to reveal anything until after her death." "She's dead." "I know." "Then please." Thomas sighed. "Your mother wasn't poor, Claire." I laughed bitterly. "She lived like she was." "That was intentional." "Why?" He opened another file. "Because your mother spent 23 years protecting something." "What?" He looked directly at me. "A company." I stared at him. "What company?" He slid a document across the desk. The name was Morgan Family Holdings. I had never heard of it. Thomas explained. "Your grandfather created it before you were born." "My grandfather?" "Yes. He owned several manufacturing businesses." I shook my head. "Grandpa died when I was 4. "Correct." "Then what happened to the companies?" Thomas hesitated. "Your father tried to take control." My stomach tightened. "My father?" "Your mother stopped him." Apparently, my father had been involved in a business dispute with my grandfather. When my grandfather died, my father attempted to take control of the family assets. My mother refused. She created a private trust. And according to the trust, I was the primary beneficiary. I stared at the papers. "But why didn't Mom tell me?" "Because your father was searching for the money." I froze. "My father left us years ago." Thomas nodded. "That is what everyone believed." I looked at him. "What are you saying?" "Your father never disappeared." I couldn't speak. For 20 years, I believed my father had abandoned us. But Thomas told me something else. "Your mother received threats." "From him?" "Yes." "How do you know?" "Because I handled the legal documents." He showed me copies of old police reports, threatening letters, financial records, court documents. My father had tried to force my mother to reveal the location of the family assets. She refused. Then, he disappeared. But the money remained hidden, and my mother spent years protecting it. I asked, "What does Ethan have to do with this?" Thomas looked uncomfortable. "Your brother discovered the trust 3 years ago." My heart sank. "How?" "Your mother told him." "Why?" "She thought he was responsible enough to help protect you." I laughed. "She trusted him." Thomas nodded. "And he betrayed that trust." I pulled out my phone. I called Ethan. Straight to voicemail. Again. Nothing. Then I received a text. "Stop asking questions." I stared at the screen. I replied, "Where are you?" A few seconds later. "You don't want to know." My hands started shaking. Then another message arrived. "Mom wanted you protected. You're making yourself a target." I looked at Thomas. "He's scared." Thomas shook his head. "No, he isn't scared. He's warning you." That evening, Alexander Reed, the man who bought the house, called me. "I found something." "What?" "I reviewed the original property records." "And?" "Your mother didn't sell the house." I froze. "What?" "The person who sold it used a power of attorney." "Who signed it?" Alexander hesitated. "Ethan Morgan." My brother had sold the house using a legal document. But there was a problem. The power of attorney had expired 2 years earlier. I immediately called Thomas. He confirmed it. Ethan had no legal authority to sell the property. "So the sale is invalid." "Potentially." "Can we stop it?" "Yes." "But there's something else." "What?" Thomas lowered his voice. "Someone forged your mother's signature." I felt sick. My family hadn't simply sold the house. They had committed fraud. Someone had forged my mother's signature. Someone had used an expired power of attorney. And someone had tried to hide my ownership. But why? Because the house was only the beginning. The property records showed something shocking. My mother's house was connected to a much larger piece of land. The land was worth nearly $9 million. And someone had already signed a contract to sell it. I stared at the document. The buyer was a development company. Its owner was Ethan's best friend, Marcus. I whispered. "My brother sold our land to his friend." Thomas nodded. "And there's more." "What?" He showed me the purchase price. $1.4 million. I stared at the number. The land was worth almost $9 million. They were trying to steal nearly $7.6 million from me. I drove to Marcus's office. He was waiting. "You shouldn't be here." "I know about the land." He looked nervous. "You don't understand." "I understand perfectly. You need to talk to Ethan." I tried. "He won't answer." Marcus looked away. Then finally said, "Because Ethan is hiding." "From me." "No." "From whom?" He swallowed. "Your father." My entire body went cold. "My father is alive." Marcus nodded. "Yes." "Where?" He didn't answer. I stepped closer. "Tell me." Marcus whispered. "He came back 6 months ago." I couldn't breathe. My father had returned. And apparently, my brother had been working with him. Marcus gave me one final piece of information. "Your father has been staying at a private property outside Chicago." "What's the address?" Marcus wrote it down. Before I left, he grabbed my arm. "Claire." "What?" "Don't go there alone." "Why?" He looked terrified. "Because your father isn't the man you remember." That night, I sat in my car outside Thomas's office. I couldn't stop thinking about Mom. Why had she hidden the money? Why had she trusted Ethan? Why had she never told me my father was alive? Then I remembered the letter. I opened it again. There was a sentence I'd overlooked. Claire, the person you think betrayed you may not be the person who truly did. I stared at it. Then my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. A man's voice said, Claire. I knew that voice. I hadn't heard it since I was 6 years old. My heart stopped. It was my father. He said only one thing. Your mother lied to you. The call ended. I sat frozen in the driver's seat. Because if my father was telling the truth, then the $12 million wasn't the secret. It was the reason my mother was murdered. I sat in my car for almost an hour. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. My father's voice kept replaying in my head. Your mother lied to you. I hadn't heard that voice since I was 6. For 27 years, I believed he abandoned us. Now I knew he was alive. And somehow, he was connected to everything. The house. The $12 million. Ethan. The forged documents. And possibly, my mother's death. I called Thomas. He's alive. Thomas immediately went silent. My father. Claire. He called me. What did he say? That Mom lied to me. Thomas sighed. I was afraid he'd contact you. You knew. I knew there was a possibility. I felt betrayed. Why didn't you tell me? Because your mother made me promise. I slammed my hand against the steering wheel. Everyone keeps using Mom's promises as an excuse to lie to me. Thomas didn't respond. Then he said, Claire, there's something else you need to know. What? Your mother's death wasn't natural. My heart stopped. What are you saying? The medical report was changed. Changed how? Her original report showed signs of poisoning. I couldn't speak. Who changed it? We don't know. But someone removed that information. Yes. Who? Thomas whispered. Ethan. I couldn't believe it. My brother. Your mother trusted him with her medical records. Why would he do that? I don't know. I hung up. I needed answers. Immediately. That night. I went to Ethan's old apartment. Nobody answered. The door was unlocked. I walked inside. The place was empty. No furniture. No clothes. No photographs. He had disappeared. Then I noticed something on the kitchen counter. A small envelope. My name was written on it. Claire. I opened it. Inside was a photograph of Mom. She was standing beside a man. My father. But there was someone else in the picture. A woman. I recognized her. Aunt Martha. My mother's sister. The same woman who had told me the house was supposed to leave the family. I turned the photograph over. There was a date. 6 months before Mom died. And underneath. They were all there when the agreement was made. I called Aunt Martha. Where are you? Claire. I know about the photograph. Silence. What photograph? Don't lie to me. She began crying. Your mother wanted to protect you. From Dad. From everyone. What happened 6 months before she died? She refused to answer. Then I heard another voice in the background. A man's voice. My father. Martha quickly hung up. I stared at the phone. My father was with her. The next morning, I drove to the address Marcus had given me. A private house outside Chicago. I parked across the street. An hour passed. Then the front door opened. A man walked outside. Older. Gray hair. But I recognized him immediately. My father. I stepped out of the car. Dad. He froze. For several seconds. Neither of us spoke. Then he looked at me. You shouldn't have come. I laughed bitterly. That's all you have to say. He looked away. Claire. You disappeared. I had to. You left Mom alone. I was protecting you. You let me believe you were dead. He lowered his head. Because your mother wanted you to believe it. I froze. What? He looked at me. Your mother wasn't protecting you from me. She was protecting you from herself. I didn't understand. What does that mean? He invited me inside. On the wall were photographs. My grandfather, my mother, my father, and the family businesses. He opened a drawer. Inside were old contracts. Your grandfather didn't build the company alone. Who helped him? Your mother. I stared at him. Mom. He nodded. She was the financial genius behind the company. Then why did everyone think she was just a housewife? Because she wanted it that way. I remembered Mom always saying, sometimes the strongest person in the room is the one nobody notices. I had never understood. Until now. My father showed me another document. Morgan Family Holdings, Original Ownership Agreement. My mother's name was on it. Not mine. Not my father's. My mother's. I looked at him. She owned everything. Yes. Then what was the $12 million? He shook his head. A fraction. I stared at him. How much did Mom actually leave? He looked at me. $86 million. I nearly fell backward. 86. Yes. Where is it? Hidden. Where? He pointed toward the floor. Under your childhood home. My heart stopped. The house wasn't just worth millions because of the land. Something worth $86 million was hidden beneath it. Then I understood why Ethan had sold the house so quickly. Why the documents had been forged. Why someone wanted me out. Why the buyer had discovered my name. They weren't after the house. They were after what was underneath it. I looked at my father. Who knows? Your brother. Who else? Your aunt. Robert. Yes. Marcus. No. I took a breath. Why did Mom die? My father looked away. Because she refused to tell them where the money was. I whispered. Who killed her? He didn't answer. I stepped closer. Tell me. Finally. He said. Ethan didn't kill your mother. I froze. What? He helped cover up what happened. Who killed her? My father's face became pale. Your Aunt Martha. I couldn't believe it. Martha had cried at Mom's funeral. She had hugged me. She had told me to calm down when I discovered the house was sold. She had acted like she was protecting the family. But she had been hiding the biggest secret of all. My father continued. Your mother discovered Martha had been stealing from the family trust. How much? Over $6 million. I felt sick. Mom confronted her. What happened? They argued. And? Your mother collapsed. Poison. He nodded. Martha poisoned her. I covered my mouth. Then my father handed me a final document. It was a recording transcript. My mother's final conversation. The last sentence said, if anything happens to me, Claire must never trust Ethan. I looked at my father. But you just said Ethan didn't kill her. He didn't. Then why did Mom say that? My father stared at me. Because Ethan knew the truth. And chose to protect Martha. I felt completely betrayed. My mother. My father. My brother. My aunt. Everyone had lied. Then my phone buzzed. A message from Alexander Reed, the man who bought my childhood home. Claire, you need to come back to the house immediately. I called him. What happened? His voice was shaking. We found something underneath the basement. What? A metal door. What's inside? He paused. Then whispered. A safe. Can you open it? We tried. What's the problem? Alexander took a breath. It requires your mother's fingerprint. I froze. My mother was dead. But then Alexander said, Claire. The safe just opened. I drove back to Willow Creek Road as fast as I could. When I arrived, Alexander was waiting in the basement. The metal door was open. I stared at it. How did you open it? Alexander shook his head. We didn't. Then who did? He pointed toward the floor. A small scanner was glowing. It opened by itself. I stepped closer. Then I noticed something. The scanner wasn't reading a fingerprint. It was reading a tiny device. Alexander handed me a small silver pendant. I recognized it immediately. It belonged to my mother. She had worn it every day for 20 years. I had never known it contained a security chip. Inside the safe, there were 3 things. A black USB drive, a thick envelope, and a small red notebook. I picked up the envelope first. My name was written on it. Claire, open only after the house is sold. My hands trembled. I opened it. My mother's handwriting filled the first page. Claire, if you are reading this, the people I feared have finally made their move. I stopped. Alexander quietly stepped away. I continued reading. The money is not what they are looking for. I frowned. Then, the $86 million is only the beginning. My heart started racing. The real secret is worth much more. I opened the red notebook. It contained names, dates, bank transfers, company addresses, political donations, private meetings, and next to several names, amounts, millions of dollars. I recognized some of them. Robert Blake, Martha Morgan, Ethan Morgan, several executives. But then I saw another name. Alexander Reed. I looked at him. He immediately noticed. Claire. You knew my family. He shook his head. Not like that. Then why is your name here? He looked at the notebook. I don't know. I turned the page. There was an entry. Alexander Reed. $2,400,000. Protect Claire. I stared at him. What does that mean? Alexander looked shocked. I've never received that money. Then why would my mother write this? He didn't answer. I opened the USB drive. It contained hundreds of files. Emails. Audio recordings. Video clips. Legal documents. Everything my mother had secretly collected. Then I found one folder. Project Family. Inside were recordings from the last year of my mother's life. I clicked the first one. My mother's voice filled the basement. If you're hearing this, I'm gone. I covered my mouth. She continued. I know Claire will blame herself. She must understand that none of this was her fault. Then another voice appeared. Ethan. My brother. Mom, I can't keep doing this. My mother replied. Then stop. I can't. Why? They'll kill Claire. I froze. My mother said. Then protect your sister. Ethan whispered. I already tried. I opened another recording. This time, it was Martha. She was furious. You promised me the money. My mother answered. You've already stolen enough. Martha shouted. You think Claire deserves it more than me? My mother replied. She is my daughter. Martha laughed. Then I'll make sure she never gets it. The recording ended. I felt sick. But the next recording changed everything. My father appeared on the screen. He looked younger. He was speaking to my mother. We need to move Claire. My mother shook her head. She won't leave. Then make her. I can't. She's already being watched. By whom? My father looked toward the camera. Then said. Everyone. The recording ended. I looked at Alexander. Everyone. He nodded slowly. Then I found a file marked. Final message. Do not trust anyone. I clicked it. My mother's face appeared. She looked tired. But calm. She stared directly into the camera. Claire, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. I started crying. Your father did not abandon you. Your brother did not betray you because he hated you. Your aunt is not the person you should fear most. I froze. Then my mother said. The person behind everything is someone you have never suspected. She paused. It's the person who helped your family buy this house. The screen went black. I looked at Alexander. Who helped my family buy this house? He didn't answer. Then his face changed. Claire. What? He pointed toward another file. The file name was Original Purchase, 1999. We opened it. The buyer information appeared. Morgan Family Holdings. The seller was a private investment company. The owner, Reed Capital. Alexander stepped backward. That's impossible. What? My grandfather founded Reed Capital. I stared at him. Your family sold my family this house. He nodded slowly. But there's more. He opened another document. The original purchase agreement contained a hidden clause. A clause that had never been disclosed to my mother. It stated that if the property was ever sold, all hidden assets beneath the property would legally transfer to the original seller. I stared at Alexander. Your family? He shook his head. Not my family. Then who? He pointed to the final page. The current beneficiary was listed as Richard Reed. I froze. Who is Richard Reed? Alexander's face went pale. My father. Everything went silent. Alexander's father. The man who had supposedly died 5 years earlier. The same man who had secretly controlled Reed Capital. The same man connected to the original property agreement. I whispered. Your father is alive too. Alexander nodded. I thought he was dead. Then my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. A man's voice said, Now you understand why I bought your house. My blood froze. It was Alexander's father, Richard Reed. I looked at Alexander. He was speechless. Richard continued. Your mother found something that belonged to me. What? The original family ledger. I looked at the red notebook. Richard laughed. And now you have it. I tightened my grip on the notebook. You killed my mother. Silence. Then. No, Claire. Your aunt did that. I froze. But I gave her the poison. The call ended. Alexander looked at me. I looked at the evidence surrounding us. 4 years. My family had been fighting over money. But the real battle had been happening behind the scenes. And now, I had the one thing everyone wanted. The ledger. The recordings. The $86 million. And proof of the entire conspiracy. Then another message arrived. Come to the old Morgan factory tomorrow. Come alone. Or Alexander dies. I looked at Alexander. He had already received the same message. And for the first time, I realized this wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was a fight for survival. I barely slept that night. Richard Reed had threatened Alexander. My aunt had poisoned my mother. My brother had helped hide the truth. And somewhere beneath everything, there was an $86 million fortune. But I wasn't going to walk into Richard's trap unprepared. For the first time in my life, I stopped reacting. I started planning. The next morning, I called Thomas. I need your help. What happened? I told him everything. The recordings. The ledger. Richard's confession. The threat against Alexander. Thomas became silent. Then he said, Your mother knew this day would come. What do you mean? She prepared something for you. What? A legal package. He told me to meet him at his office. When I arrived, he handed me a sealed box. My mother's handwriting was on it. For Claire, when she is ready. I opened it. Inside was a complete legal transfer. The $86 million. The family companies. The property rights. And one final document. The Morgan Legacy Trust. My mother had created it so that nobody could ever steal the family assets from me. But there was one condition. I had to expose the people who had committed fraud. I looked at Thomas. So she knew. He nodded. Your mother spent years preparing for this. Then Thomas gave me another surprise. There's something else. What? He showed me a court order. It froze every asset connected to Richard Reed. What? Your mother filed it before she died. I stared at the date. 6 months before her death. She had already started fighting Richard. She had simply never told me. I called Alexander. We're not going to the factory alone. He nodded. Who are we taking? Everyone. That afternoon, we arrived at the old Morgan factory, but we weren't alone. Thomas was there. Federal investigators were waiting nearby. The Financial Crimes Unit had copies of the evidence. Every recording, every bank statement, every forged document, every message, and most importantly, Richard's confession. The plan was simple. Let him talk. Let him reveal everything. Then arrest him. Richard arrived at exactly 7 p.m. He stepped out of a black SUV. 2 men followed him. He looked at me. You actually came. I smiled. You threatened someone I care about. He looked at Alexander. Your father is disappointed in you. Alexander stepped forward. You lied to me my entire life. Richard laughed. Everyone lies. I held up the red notebook. Mom kept records. His smile disappeared. You found the ledger. Yes. Give it to me. No. He took a step toward me. You don't understand what you're holding. I answered. I understand exactly what I'm holding. Proof. Richard's expression changed. He realized something was wrong. You called the police. I smiled. No. He relaxed. Then I added. I called the federal investigators. His face went pale. At that moment, lights appeared outside the factory. Agents entered. Richard tried to run. He didn't make it far. They arrested him. But the biggest shock came afterward. Aunt Martha was arrested too. The recordings proved she had poisoned my mother. The financial records proved she had stolen millions. And Ethan. He surrendered himself. He admitted he had helped hide the evidence because Richard threatened to hurt me. I hated what he had done. But when he looked at me, he was crying. I'm sorry. I said nothing. He continued. Mom asked me to protect you. I failed. I finally answered. You didn't protect me. You protected yourself. He lowered his head. And I walked away. Months passed. The investigation became one of the biggest financial fraud cases in the state. Richard faced decades in prison. Martha was convicted for my mother's death. Ethan received a reduced sentence for cooperating with investigators. The $86 million was officially transferred into my trust. The land was returned. The fraudulent sale of my childhood home was cancelled. And Alexander returned the house to me. I stood in front of the old White House. The same front door. The same staircase. The same roses. Except now, they were growing again. Alexander stood beside me. You keeping it? I smiled. Absolutely. 1 year later, I renovated the house. But I kept everything that mattered. Mom's kitchen table. Her old chair. The staircase where she hung Christmas decorations. And the little rose garden. I also turned the basement into a small memorial room for her. On the wall, I placed one photograph. Mom smiling. Beside it, I wrote, she protected me when I didn't even know I needed protection. I didn't use the $86 million to become another wealthy person who forgot where she came from. Instead, I created the Eleanor Morgan Foundation. We helped single mothers, funded legal assistance for women escaping financial abuse, provided scholarships, and supported families who couldn't afford legal representation. Because I knew what it felt like to have everyone tell you that you had nothing. 6 months later, I received a letter from prison. It was from Ethan. He wrote, Claire, I don't expect forgiveness. I only want you to know that Mom was right about you. She always said you were stronger than all of us. I folded the letter. I didn't forgive him. Not yet. But I didn't hate him anymore. Some wounds don't disappear. They simply stop controlling you. One evening, I sat on the front porch. The sun was setting. Alexander brought me 2 cups of coffee. He sat beside me. You ever think about selling this place? I smiled. Never. Why? I looked toward the front door. Because they tried to take my home. I looked at the roses my mother had planted. They forgot something. What? I smiled. Home isn't just a building. It's the part of your life nobody can steal. Years earlier, my family thought I was just a grieving daughter. They thought I had no money, no power, no proof. They changed the locks, sold my childhood home, stole millions, and believed I would walk away quietly. But they didn't know my mother had spent years preparing for the day they would betray me. She left me more than money. She left me the truth. And that truth gave me something far more valuable than revenge. My freedom. I looked at the house one final time. The lights were glowing warmly through the windows. For the first time since Mom died, I felt peaceful. I whispered, "I came home, Mom." And somehow, it felt like she was smiling.